So after we downloaded the controller update file, we first need to unzip the zip file. So we can say extract, or say, okay, I want to extract it to my local downloads folder. And we see there are several things that are now added. So the application, which is the application we need to deploy via Workspace ONE. The profile generation is the GUI for creating the profiles, and the sensors for gathering the information that we created with the application. And last but not least, we have the controller update dashboard JSON file, which is for the intelligence dashboards for providing a monitoring solution for the whole solution. So we first start with the profile generator. So when we open the profile generation, we see that there's an update profile generator.ps1, so which means it is a PowerShell file. So we need to run it to get the GUI. So sometimes you get a question in the first PowerShell window, or something like, do you want to run the script? Or yeah, it's an unsigned script. Just type in yes or Y to open the GUI. So the GUI is split into several tabs. So we have the Windows Update CSP to configure Windows Update itself. We have Controller Update to modify or to configure the Controller Update solution. Or we have the Delivery Optimization tab for configuring delivery optimization. And then we have the option to generate the profiles. So first we start with the Windows Update CSP. As you can see, we have the option to select or unselect the Controller Update solution. This is because when you want to use the Controller Update solution for installing Windows updates, then we're still relying on the configuration of Windows Update via CSP. Which means, for example, if you have a deferral of quality updates or feature updates, then the Controller Update solution will work with those settings and will respect those settings. This means if you have a deferral of, like, for example, 7 days for a normal quality update, then the Controller Update solution is not able to install the quality update before those 7 days are reached. Right? So we need the Windows Update profile or configuration to also configure the Controller Update configuration. So the whole GUI is made with selectable options. So for example, if you select what is your update source, you can select WSUS or Windows Update. And if you select WSUS, then the WSUS tab gets activated. This means all options that you select have direct impact on the selectable or configurable options in the whole solution. So this is to make sure that your configuration is supported for your use case. For example, you have completely different settings for WSUS than you have for Microsoft Update. And with this solution, you have only the supported configurations that are supported for your use case. For example, you have no update frequency interval for Microsoft Update because it's always 22 hours. But for WSUS, it's up to you to configure your update scan interval. But let's get started with the configuration, so it's quite easy to go through it because most of the settings are self-explained. One important thing is how many rings do you want to configure, and if you select more than one, then you will get two profiles. So you can just copy paste the profiles and name it like ring 1, ring 2. And the interesting one is if you go to timing, then you have the quality updates deferral and the feature updates deferral. For example, if you select 7 days for your ring 1 as deferral, then and you select 2 ring profiles, then the second profile will automatically have 14 days deferral. If you select more than 4 rings, then the first profile will always be inside or slow, because I expect that if you have 4 rings or more, then you have 1 ring, like a ring 0 for testing new Windows updates, and yeah, so that's why the first ring profile will be always inside or slow. This is something you need to know. And yeah, if you select only 3, then every ring is in the GA channel. One thing is set telemetry level to basic. It's still checked here. Actually, you don't need to have the telemetry level set to basic anymore for Windows Update. It was a requirement back in the days, but Microsoft changed how Windows Update is working. So you don't need the telemetry level to basic or above. So you can uncheck it or you can let it checked in. So it's up to you. So if you're using, or if you want to use the Control-MA update solution, then you have also the option for the update scan interval. Normally, if you have Microsoft Update as source, then you always have 22 hours for the scan interval. But with this solution, you can even decrease the hours that you want to wait for a new update scan. So at minimum, we have 1 hour for your update scan, which doesn't make always sense, but you can even increase it to 22 if you want. Important setting is also the restart deferral, which is the basic Windows Update deferral. But in case you are using maintenance Windows for the Control-MA update solution, then this setting doesn't change anything. So it will just be ignored. If you don't use maintenance Windows, then you need to configure it. So the restart deferral and the grace period, to make sure that the device gets restarted in time and the update gets installed. Then we have releases. So you have the Windows release branch, which is always, or by default, set to the GA channel, the targeted channel. You can disable safeguards if you have some devices that are not fully supported by the new feature update, but you want to force the feature update. Then you can disable the safeguard. And if you want to use target release version to make sure that the device stays on a specific version or gets updated to a specific version, you can select here the product version and then the target release version. So for example, if you're currently on 1909, then you can select 21H2 to update to Windows 10 21H2, or if you select Windows 11, then you will only have 21H2 right now. So the target or the device either will stay on the Windows 11 build, or if you're running Windows 10, then it will automatically upgrade to Windows 11. So if we want to configure WSUS, then we have the update service URL, the alternate name, and all the basic WSUS settings. We are also respecting or implemented the new way for dual scan. So if you want to make sure that specific updates are only downloaded from WSUS, then you can select, okay, I want to make sure, for example, that feature updates are always downloaded from WSUS and not from Microsoft Update. Then you can select this. You can even select multiple update categories. Next, we have the Controller Update solution configuration. We have the option to run report only, which is which will disable everything else, and reporting only is just for reporting purpose, like the name already mentioned, but reporting only is to collect the information which updates are installed on the device. If you watched one of my videos or read our blog, digitalworkspace.one, then you know that we have 4 different methods to install Windows Update, and this solution will provide you a full overview which updates are installed regardless of the installation source. For our tutorial, we will use the normal installation mode to really show how powerful our solution is. You can select the update source, so you can let it let it stay at default level, which means it will respect what you configured in the CSP or via GPO. But you can even force the update source, which means in cases you still using GPOs, then you are not able to override the WSUS setting, for example, via CSP. And this solution will override the setting only during the script runtime, which means we are not manipulating the setting itself, but we are overwriting the setting during the runtime of the script. Then we have download updates before the installation, which will obviously always be done before we can install an update. We need to download it, but also it's important for maintenance window users. So if you configure maintenance window, for example, you want to say, okay, I want to use a maintenance window which is on Tuesday or on Fridays between maybe 20 and 22, then you want to make sure that you have already downloaded the updates outside of the maintenance window. Then you can select this option here. But if you want to say, okay, I only want to download and install updates during the maintenance window, you can unselect this option. But yeah, most of the time customers want to decrease the time of the maintenance window to make sure that updates are already downloaded and only needs to be installed on the device during the maintenance window. Then we are having the option to block a specific KB or multiple KBs. So you can type in a specific KB number and you can separate it via semicolon. Say something like this. And this means that the specified KB or the specified KBs are not gonna be installed on the device. If they are already installed, nothing will happen because we are not uninstalling the updates. But if the update is not installed or is not already installed on the device, it will not be installed until we unblock the update. So for example, if we have the update KB 123 in blocked KBs and also in unblocked KBs, the unblocked KB will always win. So in this example, the KB431 will be blocked and will not be installed. The KB123 is now unblocked and will be installed with the next update installation cycle. Then we have the emergency patch KB, which means that the patch that we are specify here, it's only one patch because it's an emergency patch. This patch KB123 gets installed directly as soon as the next time the script runs. So if you remember that the script itself gets triggered by a scheduled task which is run or which runs by default every 30 minutes, then this KB gets installed with the next run time of the solution. And this will also override the maintenance window, and it will also override the update scan interval. So for example, if we are having an update scan interval of 10 hours, then the solution will run every 30 minutes, but it will do nothing till the scan interval is reached. Right? So for example, if we are starting up the device at 6 a.m. in the morning, first runtime, it will search for updates, it will install updates if possible or if available, and then at 6:30 around the script will run again, but it will check for the update scan interval and it will detect that the update scan interval is not reached, so it will do nothing. Only if the scan interval is reached, so at 4 p.m. it will rerun an update scan, and if there are new updates released, then it will install those updates. And the emergency patch KB gets even installed outside of the update scan interval. So normally we would wait for 10 hours to get new updates installed, but with the emergency patch KB, it will directly install it as soon as the update is available for installation. The update scan randomization in minutes is set to 0 by default. We have an additional randomization of the update scan just to make sure that specific devices with really low bandwidth are not reaching out to Microsoft Update at the same time. So the update scan interval gets added with those minutes on top. So in our example, we had the scan interval set to 10 hours, and it will also add a random number of minutes per device on top of those 10 hours. So to notify the user that there's a pending restart, we have also the option to create a toast notification for the end user, and you can even configure it like, what is your title, what is your text, and make sure that the device gets rebooted as soon as possible. Next, we are taking a look at delivery optimization. So we can see we have the download mode, the minimum peak caching, content file size, maximum download, and connected cache server options. So it's quite minimized your from the options you have, because most of the time you're using the net option, so that you have the same network address, or you want to use the peering across a private group, then you have the option to generate a GUID or automatic create the GUID, and you see the options are changing. So you can see, okay, I want to use for example, DHCP option ID. So if you want to set the GUID via DHCP, then you can do it like this, and then configure the peer caching content file size and also the maximum download bandwidth. If you have configured everything that you need, then you can go to Generate Profiles and select the profiles you want to create. There's even a Generate Controller Update Configuration Profile, which is an old legacy way to do it. So right now we are using configuration script, which means when you are enabled for Freestyle Orchestrator, then you have the script functionality, and it's much easier to use than the configuration profile. So in our use case, we definitely want to use everything. So we have an delivery optimization profile. We have our controller update configuration script. So I need to make sure, yeah, that's fine. And we have our Windows Update profile. So remember, if you want to use the controller update solution, we always need the Windows Update profile. And if you want to use Windows Update for Business, then we highly recommend to use delivery optimization to save your internet traffic. So then we are saying generate profile, and I'm just pasting it on the desktop. And you can see there's the ring 1 and the ring 2 and the ring 3 profile. If we are open it, you see it's the completely installation profile, but also the uninstallation profile. And what we are doing next is we are importing those information to our Workspace ONE console.